Oh, well, students, good evening to all of you. So, guys, today we are going to discuss the another important topic of B.Ed, which is a phases of teaching. Right, guys? So, this is a very small topic, right? It comes under Unit 4 of Paper 3. So, under the phases of teaching, first of all, we'll discuss about the concept and meaning of a teaching, then nature and characteristics of teaching. Then, basically, we will discuss in detail about pre-active phase, interactive phase and post-active phase. There are three phases of teaching, right, guys? Means what we do in the pre-active phase, what we do in the interactive phase, what we do in the post-active phase. So guys, here you have to remember, teaching is not everybody's cup of tea, and teaching is not a simple, it is a you can say it is a complex task. It is a teaching methodology. Unless or until you cover the teaching methodology, only then you can teach effectively to the students, right? Even when you take the lecture, you prepare the lecture, you should know the phases, all the phases of a teaching. What time you have to prepare your lecture, what time you have to deliver your lecture, in the which phase you have to do the evaluation process, right, guys? So I hope from this lecture it will be clear to you. So first we talk about little bit about the teaching. Although, this slide we have already done, but to understand the phases of a teaching, so there is a need to, little bit overview of that teaching. Teaching, guys, already told you it is an interactional process, right? Basically, there is a interactions of the teacher, learner, and the learning material. Okay, guys, what is the role of the teacher? You have to understand. The role of the teacher is to brings the student and subject matter together. Then he's called as a, is a effective teaching. Yeah, he's a effective teacher. Okay. The role of teacher is not to pouring into the mind of the student. Okay. Whatever learned from here and there and pouring into the mind of the student and say that, we have finished our syllabus, right? Basically, the purpose of a teacher to arouse the learning power of the student, to make the student up to that level, student can make the notes by himself or herself. Student can learn by himself or herself. Trust me, when you give all the methods, if you know all the methods, all the strategies of a teaching, okay, and very punctually and honestly you are giving teaching to the student, so automatically, guys, what happens, student gets influenced by your teaching. Okay. And you think that you have taught better, that's why students have understood, that's why student has gotten 90% marks, and up to the last 7 year 8 year he was taking only 50% marks. Now I'm in charge of the 8th class, student has promoted in the 8th class, I started very effective teaching, that's why students got 90% marks. Okay, earlier student was taking 50% marks. From the intelligence theory, it has cleared that last lecture we talked about the intelligence. Guys, if the student was up to the 6th class, 7th class was taking the 50% marks, it has come in the 7th class, you are the in charge of the 7th class teaching to the student, student has got the 90% marks because of the IQ level of the student. You can't say that. But what is the role of a teacher? The role of a teacher is the facilitator. The role of the teacher is the encouraging the student. The role of the teacher is to the arousing the learning power of the student. The role of the teacher is to stimulating the learning power of the student so that student can learn by their self. Right, guys? So you have to influence the student with your teaching methods, not from here and there collecting the material, pouring into the mind of the student, right? So B.O. Smith has already said that teaching is a system of activities intended to induce learning. It is a most important line, right? What is the meaning of that? Basically, the meaning of line is that if there is a teaching, there must be a learning. There should be a learning, right? If there is no learning on the part of the student, it means your teaching is not effective, right, guys? Because what is the meaning of a learning? Learning means modifications of behavior of the learner. Okay, you are teaching to the student, and the behavior of the learner couldn't modify it, it means you are not a successful teacher. Okay, so if the behavior of the learner has modified, guys, only then your teaching is a successful, right? If you have the class of a 30 students, okay, you have delivered a lecture, and it was understood by the half of the class, 15 student got it and 50 student didn't. So then, guys, it is a problem of the teacher, because 15 students didn't get. Okay, and the another situation is that you have a class of a 30 student and 29 students got your lecture, only one student didn't got. Again, it is a problem of the teacher, because teacher does not know the methodology, teacher does not know the teaching strategy. Okay, that's why student didn't get it, right, guys? So teaching is a system of actions intended to induce learning, right? Little bit we talk about nature and characteristics of a teaching. It is an interactional process. You have come to know that interactions of a teacher, learner, and the learning material. And what the teacher does, that brings the learning material and the student together. Okay, then student will learn by themselves. Okay, matter of drawing out. Okay, teaching, the meaning of a teaching is to drawing out, not the pouring, right? Because when the baby born, guys, he borns with all the, you can say, all the powers, all the intelligence. Okay, but here when he grows up, he goes to the school, then it is a part of the, it is a duty of the teacher and the parents. Okay, they have to draw out best from the mind of the student. Okay, Swami Vivekananda has said that education is the manifestation of the divine perfection already existing in a man. ऑलरेडी उस बेबी के अंदर सो मेनी पावर्स हैं, लेकिन वो सोई हुई फॉर्म के अंदर हैं. You have to stimulate, you have to arouse that powers. Okay, then if you become successful for arousing the power, he will learn by himself. Causing to learn, teaching means causing to learn. Okay, मतलब टीचर बेसिकली, टीचर शुड बी ए कॉज मतलब कारण, टीचर कारण बने लर्निंग का, right? Teacher is a cause to learn, guys. You have to become a causing to learn. Okay, and it will only be possible if you have a good hold of the educational philosophy, educational psychology, and the teaching learning process, which is in your B.Ed syllabus. Okay, guys, tripolar process. There are three poles of the teaching. On the one pole is the teacher, on the second pole is the learner, and third is a social environment, right? It means tripolar process of a teaching says that teacher has to teach in the light of society, in the light of what is present going on. Well-planned activity. Teaching is a well-planned activity. Without planning, you can't teach effectively. What happens if your lecture is not prepared? To what happens? You go into the class. Okay, there is a wastage of the time and energy, right, guys? Teaching is an art. Teacher always एक artist होता है, guys, right? You have, there is a one definition of a Cunningham under the topic of a curriculum. He has said that teacher is an artist who molds his material in his studio, right? Material कौन है? Who is the material? Material is the student in his studio. What is the studio? Studio means school. Okay, so teacher is an artist. Okay, teaching is a science. Why it is a science? Because it is a systematical activity. What is the meaning of a science? Science means systematic activity. Whosoever is a systematic form, we call as a science, right? So teaching is also a systematic activity, guys, right? I will tell you in the further slides when we'll start, phases of teaching. Teaching is a cooperative. So always cooperations on the behalf of the teacher. Don't say that, don't think that you always have to, in the search of the cooperation from the side of the student. Okay, think that student will never give you the cooperations. He will only give you the cooperation when you will start giving the cooperation. Okay, you have seen that, na? Teachers are so qualified MBA, MSc IT, PhD persons, huh? Or student is a still student of a 7th class and 6th class. He started you know quarrel, scolding to the student, Hana? He has started the problem with the students, and whole of the year, he started such kind of a uh, problems with the students. So on the part of you, you have to do the cooperations with the student, okay, without expecting anything, because you are the teacher, guys. Teacher is a real image of Brahma. Teacher is a torch bearer of the society. Teacher is a nation builder. You are the persons. You have to become the cause of learning. You know, I have remembered, one research. Okay, I was, studying a, one research paper. So what happens, guys, in the, research paper, there was in a one place, I think, I'm forgetting the name. Yes, South Africa. There was one village in the South Africa. So what happens? Number of a persons, research scholar. Okay, they went over there. They have found that there was the village was so pathetic. There was no electricity. There was no any basic things, for the study, like you know rooms were not okay, and everything was not good, okay, on the behalf of the teaching learning process. And it's very pathetic conditions. So they had to collect the data, basically. So they collected the data, and after that, they left the that project. They didn't pursue that. After 10 years, one another scholar came and they started that project. What happened? Actually, in the village, na, the survival jo that was very less, right? Because after 30 years, persons only can survive, and after 30 years, lot of deaths happens in that village due to some problem and others. Okay, that's why they didn't pursue the research. So after 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years, one another research team came, and this is a true story. I can show you the paper also, right, guys? Whatever I'm discussing here, I have the all the research papers I'm telling you, right, guys? So what happened? After a 20-year, new research persons came over there and visited over there, Anna, to complete that research, because PhD is basically a research. So they started finding out those 200 students. Okay, so 10, 15, 20 years back, others collected the data. So what happened? Malab, they got after 6 months or 1 year to in order to find out those all the students, 200 students. They came to know that out of a 200 students, na 138 students only survived. Okay, and they had become the richest person, and they are working so well in the good companies and others. Okay, and everybody was surprised. They said that how it happened, because in a village there was a pathetic condition. There was no electricity, and there are no general things over there. And how it happened, how they become the very successful person, richest persons. So they collected the data from them. They came to know that they said that, okay, sir, in the class of a 7th, we got a one teacher. So basically that teacher inspired us. So due to that teacher, we got success in the life. So guys, there are a lot of things, lot of a research paper, you can search that, right, on the Google also, right? So you will find that such kind of a thing. That's why you have to cooperate with the student, right? Many times I have told you now that if there is a school building, furniture, and expert teachers, if you say that, for example, it is a film, huh, like if it is a film, na, the hero of the film is the student. Guys, you have to teach according to the need, interest, and the mental level of the student. You have to come down up to the mental level of the students, and you have to stimulate the learning from the students. Good teaching, next point is that teaching is a cooperative, teaching is a suggestive. You have to give the suggestions. Good teaching is a remedial. Okay, you have to see that in your class. Okay, 15 students has got your lecture, 15 didn't. It means 15 have some problems, some weaknesses. Okay, they are not good up to your lecture. So you have to provide the remedial. And in the second case, 29 students got your lecture, one didn't. One have the problem, one have the low IQ, one understands the things very slowly. This is the reason he didn't get it. So what you have to do, you have to give the extra classes, you have to give the extra care, right? So teaching is a remedial. Teaching involves skill in guiding learning. Okay, so it is not possible, guys, if you don't have the skill. You should have a skill. There is a lot of skills in the teaching. Do you know, even in the 30 minutes of one lecture, there are many skills. There are more than 20 skills. Okay, when we'll start the topic now, in the teaching topics, so on there I'll elaborate you, right? Teaching is a both formal and informal process. Teaching a formal process bhi hai, and teaching is a informal process bhi hai, right? So let's move on the phases of teaching. Okay, so little bit you know about the teaching and nature of teaching. Now we talk about the phases of teaching. Guys, teaching is a complex task and needs systematic planning to perform the task. Okay, right? And what are the systematic planning? Basically, teaching involves steps. What are the steps? There are 3 steps, okay, called the phases of a teaching. You have to take care of these 3 steps before going into the classroom. Okay, what are 3 phases or 3 steps? One is pre-active phase, right? Second is interactive phase. Third is post-active phase. Okay, these are the 3 phases or steps of the teaching. So one is a pre-active phase. So what is a pre-active phase? What is the meaning of a pre-active phase? Pre-active phase means it refers to the planning. You have to plan. Second, interactive phase is the directly it is a classroom situations. You have to interact with the student. And third is the post active phase. Under the post active phase, you have to do the evaluations, taking the feedback from the student, follow up. Okay, you have, okay, now we do step by step. Pre-active, what is in the pre-active, what is in the interactive phase, and what is in the post-active phase. Okay, you always have to teach like that. Okay, so number one, pre-active phase. Okay, so what you have to do in a pre-active phase, basically the purpose of a B.Ed is that you should know how to teach. Okay, the purpose, the crux of a B.Ed is that you have to stand in the class and you have to teach. Okay, this is the, and to reach on that level, there is a need to learn all the things, cover all the things in a 1 and 2 years, right guys? Only then you can become trained. Okay, pre-active phase. Under a pre-active phase, guys, it is a planning phase. You have come to know that you have to plan. Okay, before going to the class, before giving the lecture to the student, you have to plan. What you have to plan? See all the bullets. Okay, what you have to plan? Number one, first of all, you have to deciding the objective of instruction. What it means whatever the topic you have prepared, you are going to deliver. Okay, guys, you have to think first. What is the objective of that? Today I'm planning that, and tomorrow I'm going to teach this topic. Okay, after finishing my topic, what would be the learning outcome? What is the objective of that? For example, I'm taking your class, I'm teaching you the topic. Which topic? Phases of teaching. Okay, what I'm doing, I'm preparing you, I'm training you to become a good teacher, effective teacher, inspired teacher. Okay, so this is my objective. Okay, when I finish my topic, I'm sure that you all will follow that. You know that this is the teaching, I have to follow this. Similarly, guys, in the planning phase, you have to see whatever the topic you are going to teach, what is the purpose of that topic. Okay, what would be the learning outcome of that topic? Second, deciding the amount of a content or the subject matter to be presented. You have to see, it is a class of the 30 minutes. In a 30 minutes, okay, I have to select that topic so that it would be covered in a, I have to decide that much material so that it would be covered within a 30 minutes or a 35 minutes or a 45 minutes, whatever durations of your classes. Third is drawing an outline plan of activities. Okay, you should know that on a first phase, first 5 minutes, I will teach that. In a mid of the class, I will give understand the students with the help of some examples. Okay, just like I have given a one example to you, okay, about the research of those persons, right? So you all have to plan, and in the last you have to do at least 5 minutes you have to reserve at the end for the evaluation process. Okay, whatever you have taught, last 5 minutes you have to reserve in order to ask from the student, guys, what you have learned, please tell me about this. Okay, if you are getting a good answers, 10 out of a 8 out of a 10, 7 out of a 10, then you can think that okay, you have taught very well. Fourth is deciding the medium or media of instructions of teaching. Yes, you have to see that, you have to plan that, which media you will use that, which medium you will use that. Okay, both you can take it. One, okay, either you have to give the lectures in the English, either you have to give in the bilingual method, either even the media you can say that, or medium of instructions you can say that. Here you can also add that the teaching aids. Okay, which teaching aid you have to use, even chart or model, right? Last is deciding the evaluation method to be used for the assessment of the learning outcome. Yes, I have told you, na guys, the last 5 minutes you have to reserve in your lecture in order to ask the questions from the students, whatever you have taught. Got it? To evaluate, na? You have to evaluate. Don't wait for the test. You will take the test and you will evaluate. Okay? In a 30 minutes, in 25 minutes, teach to the class, last 3 to 4 minutes, ask the question from the student. साथ के साथ automatically उनकी learning करवाते जाओ. Okay, right? मतलब it should you should know that strategy, na guys, right? So these all things you have to do in a pre-active phase, means planning phase, before going to the class, before one day before the class, right? Second is an interactive phase. Now, guys, this is the time of interaction with the student. Okay. Under a pre-active phase, you have planned the material which is going to be taught to the student. You have selected the method. You have planned on which time, which things you have to show. Okay. And each and every things, evaluation process, at what time you have to do the evaluation process, everything you have done it. Okay, now the next day you have entered in the class. Now there is a direct interactions between among the students. Okay, interactive phase is called the actual classroom teaching, guys. Okay, and what you have to do in this phase, naturally you will teach, right? But guys, besides teaching, okay, what you have to do, okay, during this stage, the following operations may be undertaken. The first bullet, number 1, diagnosing the level of the student's achievement in terms of their abilities, attitude, interest, and academic background. It means knowing the learner. Now you have come to know that, to know the learner. Okay, try to know the learner, because you cannot teach effectively until you know the learner, right? Asking the questions. Okay, you have seen me now, I always, starting any of the lectures, I take some feedback from you. Okay, so what is happening? I'm knowing the learner, number 1. Number 2, I'm becoming the motivations for the other persons, because other persons will find that Lalit sir always asks some of the questions, okay, of the previous class, so we should learn that. Automatically they will develop such kind of a things, right guys? So guys, you have to basically, you have to become giver. Teacher is always giver. That's why it is called, teaching is a passion. It is not a profession. Okay, if you are thinking it is a profession, so guys, in reality, okay, you will do only that works you are paid off. Okay, you are paid. Okay, if it is become your passion, so then guys, ultimately not only the money you will get the contentment also, right guys? And this is the most important. Okay, second, presenting information in the form of a narrations, reading, instructional material, right? Instructional material means the topic which you are going to present in the class. So basically you will present. Okay, This is called interactive phase, is called the actual classroom teaching, and it is called the presentation. Okay. So here, 2-3 activities you have to do. You have to deliver the topic side by side. You have to, you have to know the learner. How you will know the learner, right? By, after, in the starting you can ask some of the questions, and in the end you can ask some of the questions. Okay, it doesn't mean, whole of the lecture you have to ask the questions. Okay, you have to deliver the lecture, right? Okay, in the starting 2-3 minutes you can ask the questions. Within that time you will come to know that, okay, who is giving you the answer or not. And in the last you can know the learner. Asking questions, it is written what you have to do. You can ask the questions from the student, responding to the students questions and request. Okay, always, respond to the student, whatever asked by the students, right guys? You have to solve the curiosity of the student, right? They have the curiosity. Okay, even motivate them to ask why it happened, right? Do not, you know label the students. Okay, you are asking a wrong questions, it doesn't mean that. Okay, asking the questions, you can respond to the students. So interactive phase is the, actual classroom teaching and presentation. Basically you have to know the learner, you have to interact the students. Okay, you have to explain with the help of some stories. Okay, you have to make your teaching learning so easy, so that it should be understood by the average student, below average student, and intelligent students, right? Because class is a mixture of all the students. Some are intelligent, some are average, some are below average. You have to prepare such kind of a lecture so that it should be understood by the each and every person, right? Third, guys, we talk about the post active. Post active, you have come to know that it is a evaluating phase, right? Now what is happens, you have the 35 minutes of the class, 30 minutes you have to given the lecture, 5 minutes you have to reserve. And in this post active phase, you have to evaluate the student. Basically you are not evaluating the student, you are evaluating your teaching. Are you getting it, right? Last 5 minutes you are asking the questions now, because whatever you have taught to the student, so basically you are evaluating by yourself, you are evaluating to you. So what you have to do, this stage includes the following operation. These are the 4 bullets. Number 1 is keeping record of a classroom events, finding out significant reactions, collecting students observations, and assessing in terms of a attainment of a instructional objectives. Assessing, basically you have to assess, you have to evaluate, you have to see the reaction of the class. Okay, on that reactions you have to evaluate. Okay, where you are lacking. Okay, to which thing you have to do correct. Okay, then next time you can do with the better form, right? So guys, these are all the phases of a teaching. You have to go according to these all the phases of a teaching. Okay, first phase talks about the planning, second phase talks about the presentation, and third phase talks about the evaluation stage, right guys? So thank you so much guys, this was a small topic. I hope you have understood this topic, right? So next topic, I'm going to start the teaching strategies, right guys? So I'm going to stop this lectures and stop the recording, then I start the next lecture.